Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 189. We are talking right now with Nick Kalikas from MMAOddsBreaker.com, and also joining us over the phone, MMA analyst, also from MMAOddsBreaker.com, Brian Hemminger. All right, Brad Pickett and Thomas Almeida. Great, veteran against prospect fight. Almeida right now, though, minus 950. Obviously, Almeida on his way up. Pickett, his career is in free fall. 950 is an enormous line, though. Brian Hemminger, is this fight bettable at all?
It's going to be tough because Brad Pickett is very game, and at minus 950, you can't really throw Almeida in a parlay. He won't even adjust the odds that much, and it's tough to bet him by knockout because that's how he's won just about every single one of his career fights. But Brad Pickett's never been finished by TKO in his entire UFC career, and he has been in there against some killers. So it's a really difficult fight to bet because, yeah, Almeida should win, but we're not sure how he's going to win, and it's really not worth throwing it on there because even Almeida by knockout is a pretty decent laying some juice.
Well, what about just betting the over then? 1.5 rounds. Over 1.5 rounds, minus 150. I mean, the odds makers are thinking that this is going to be a quick fight, but if Pickett, has a savviness of a veteran to survive, a little bit longer than expected, minus 150 just to go 1.5 rounds. What do you think?
Even then, you're laying juice on it, and Almeida is a guy that just lights people up. He doesn't have that pure one-punch power, but he can throw massive, crazy amount of strikes in combination, in succession, real quick succession. So I don't even know if that over 1.5 rounds is worth it because just even though Brad Pickett's never been knocked out in his UFC career, he has been finished by submission, and there is the possibility that this could be that first time he gets knocked out because he has taken so much damage in his UFC career. And as the guy starts to get older, I mean, that the likelihood of that knockout coming gets more and more. So it's a really tricky fight to bet, especially with all the question marks around it, really.
All right, Nick Kalikas, we're used to seeing a lot more of these kinds of lines on the main cards of UFC. This time, this is the only one. Where'd you open this line?
Minus 445.
Wow.
For Almeida.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense. Why'd you open it so low? Because just on paper, this looks like, a setup, a veteran going down, an undefeated prospect on the rise. I would definitely expect the public to be all over Almeida, right?
Yeah, I did too, and I thought maybe around 5-1 or so would probably keep him away. Because if you think about it, Almeida is this is his first big test because Pickett's been in there with some of the best in the UFC, obviously. So in my opinion, and you never see him as a huge underdog like this because of his skill set. The guy has good striking, he's got good wrestling, good submission skill. A different weight class completely, but let's not forget, he has a win over the current flyweight king in Demetrius Johnson. Brad Pickett does. So he's been in there with some great fighters and has accomplished some great and has some big wins. So in my opinion, I thought opening 445 for a prospect over a legitly established veteran that you're getting quality from was fair. Obviously I was wrong, and you know what? And I agree with it. If I had to go back and reset the line, obviously I would have set it a lot higher now because I do think that this is a bad fight for Pickett. With everything I just said, I do think the early action, and again, this is another spot though, so people realize too that I do favor Almeida. So we were going to move stronger if the action did come in that way. I was just expecting a little bit more two-way action, but the line has since gotten crazy. Of course, a lot of straight bets coming in at max price, and a lot of people throw them into parlays when they could. You're not going to see as much as Brian mentioned. Minus 900 now with the parlays, but keeping the line a little bit higher to try to draw some of that dog action back on Pickett, and it's working because even though the line's staying high, they are getting some action back on the dog, so the sports books are a little bit more even probably than people realize here in this spot. But that being said, Brian mentioned that overall Pickett's had a good chin, but you know what? He's been clipped way too many times for my liking, honestly. Some of the submission losses he has have been set up by almost getting knocked out.
Right.
So he's been close a few times, and now what you're facing is an outstanding striker. There was a lot of hype behind Almeida coming in again to the UFC. He faced a pretty tough guy. A lot of people might not give him a lot of respect for that Gorman win, but Gorman took some punishment there, and he was a good grinder, a good test for Almeida to see how he would do when he's put on his back or how he would do when he faced that kind of wrestler adversity. And he came through with flying colors. He got himself put on his back a little bit, but at the same time he was able to get out of those positions relatively quick and then do an outstanding amount of damage on the feet as well. So a lot of people wouldn't survive what Gorman did, and I don't think Pickett's going to be able to survive. He is a tough guy, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, again, the age factor is coming into play. way. He's been rocked a significant amount of times where a special striker, I think, in Almeida is going to probably finish the job. So I do think Almeida wins this fight, and he probably wins it by KO.
So if Almeida wins, it will be a small loss for the books then?
Probably because of all the parlay action and all that, but it is going to be a lot closer. And again, I think we're going to see at the crazy number that you see out there now on Pickett, people realize this guy's a good fighter. I mean, again, it's hard to imagine him against anybody this big of a dog. So I think we're going to see people, putting in some max wagers, just taking a shot, thinking, oh, people are just crazy. The hype on this kid isn't real type of situation. And we'll see it more even, but we'll probably lose a little bit, yes, if Almeida wins.
All right, Brian Hemminger, you don't like over 1.5 minus 150? Do you like the under 1.5 then at plus 130, or do you like Almeida by knockout? What do you like here then?
I don't like much of anything because
So
Almeida's just too big of a favorite, and the totals, it's just too scary because Almeida could finish him really quickly. He could finish him late. It could go to decision. There's just a lot of things going on with this fight that are just completely up in the air because of the histories of both fighters. And who knows, Brad Pickett could put him away too. It's not out of the realm of possibility. He is a crafty vet, and him moving back up to the bantamweight division might re-energize him a little bit.
So you think that it'll be easier for Almeida to knock out Pickett than it would have been to knock out Jabouin?
No, Jabouin's been knocked out before.
Right.
So Pickett definitely has the history of durability. He may have been hurt before and taken a lot of punishment before, but he hasn't consistently stayed down when he does get hit. So I do think it'll be tougher to put him away than Jabouin, but he still did put away Jabouin pretty quickly. So
all right.
There is still a good shot.
It's a pass for Brian Hemminger. Nick Kalikas tells us that the books are going to take a small loss if Almeida wins. I think I'm liking over 1.5 minus 150. I think I'm going to make that official recommendation. You think that's stupid, right, Nick Kalikas?
I don't think it's stupid. I mean, I could see, Pickett, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt that he survives and goes, into the second round at least. So it's maybe not stupid. I'm not sure, honestly, because this kid has that kind of special finishing power, that finishing ability that he could end it early. So, yeah, I wouldn't do it personally myself, but I can understand if somebody does take a stab, especially with the amount of disrespect that's getting put on Pickett right now. I think that's definitely something to think about.
All right, Nick Kalikas and Brian Hemminger, thanks so much for your thoughts once again.